The topic of this video is sexualization of women in anime. And in this video, we argue that women are overtly and excessively sexualized in anime. To understand the way that women are portrayed in anime, we first have to look at the position that Japanese women have had throughout history. Women had important roles in ancient Japan. The Shinto religion, which was widely practiced at the time, had priestesses who played a significant role in ceremonies and rituals. In the late 6th century, Buddhism was introduced, which influenced the way that women were seen. According to Japanese Buddhism, when a woman is young, she must obey her parents. When she is mature, she must obey her husband. And when she is old, she must obey her son. The rise of Confucianism also shifted gender roles as it introduced a patriarchal structure. Women were expected to be subservient and men had to be dominant. During the Meiji era, the Japanese government wanted to increase nationalism and emphasize traditional gender roles. Women played a big role in their nationalistic vision through economic contribution, education, and their role as biological reproducers. Women had to produce education for the betterment of their children and to become good partners for their husbands. Women's roles were for the good of the nation and its men and not for the empowerment of the women themselves. The 20th century came with the challenging of traditional norms and the embrace of Western ideals. World War II had a big impact on gender roles in Japan. Women took on the jobs of men that fought in the war, and in 1945 they got the right to vote. More women worked, but they were still expected to be the primary caregivers. They had to choose between their career and motherhood. From this history, we can see that Japanese women, for a long time, have been made to serve men. They had to take care of their sons, serve their parents, and take care of their husbands. They were there to serve and not encouraged to develop themselves.
Now moving on to the history of anime, which can be traced back to the early 20th century. Influenced by traditional Japanese art and Western animation, Namakura Gatana in 1917 marked early experimentation with animation. Pre-World War II anime served propaganda and educational purposes. World War II had a detrimental impact on the industry, causing the loss of many early works. Post-World War II, Osamu Tezuka's Astro Boy shaped modern anime, earning him titles like God of Manga and Father of Anime. In the 1990s brought global popularities, the series like Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon. There's also a growing interplay between Japanese animation and Western media. This can be seen by the live-action One Piece show on Netflix, which was made in English in 2023. With Sailor Moon being one of the most popular animes from 1990s and early 2000s that was written by a female manga artist, the actual anime series was produced by several men. The lack of women directors in anime production raised concerns about the industry's work culture. The shortage of women in anime is linked to the challenging work environment prevalent in Japanese work culture, potentially deterring women from pursuing or excelling in leadership positions. Despite women being well received as manga creators, the scarcity of women in directorial and producer roles in anime is not solely attributed to traditional reasons, like women having the responsibilities to bear children, but also stereotypes. One of the directors of Studio Ghibli, Hiromasa Yonebayashi, believes the reason why there are more men in the position of directors is that women are able to manage day-to-day life well and are realistic, while men are idealistic, which works well for the fantasy as it does need an idealistic approach.
The sexual objectification of women has long been an issue. Media representation contributes to the problem by depicting women in ways that emphasize physical attractiveness. This portrayal can lead to the objectification of women, reducing them to objects of desire and focusing on their physical traits rather than their personalities or abilities. This can happen with Japanese female idol groups, like the group AKB48 that we can see in the picture, wearing barely any clothing for their own promotion. Sexual harassment in Japanese mainstream media is also often seen as funny. Grabbing boobs, lifting skirts, and other inappropriate acts are seen as harmless and entertaining. The mascot Kumamon is an example of this. He doesn't speak but uses gestures to communicate, and this includes trying to take off women's clothes and grabbing women by the waist. These depictions trivialize sexual harassment through humor.
This trivialization of sexual harassment also happens in anime. In the anime The Seven Deadly Sins, the character Elizabeth is continuously groped by Meliodas. Elizabeth ignores it, and Hawk, a pig sidekick, gets mad at him for doing this, but the pig's anger is portrayed as being annoying and funny. The sexualization of female characters is also evident in character design and specific genres like ecchi, ecchi and harem. One problematic aspect of this sexualization is infantilization. Infantilization is the act of portraying a female character in a childlike way. Female characters often have petite frames, large eyes, and childlike features. High-pitched voices reinforce their innocence and vulnerability. They are often dependent, naive, and submissive. Sometimes the female characters will be an adult yet still looks like a child. This happens in the anime The Seven Deadly Sins, where female character is 1,000 years old but looks like a child and falls in love with a male character that looks like an adult. Whilst looking like children, they are also sexualized. They are dressed in revealing and tight clothing, and in some instances will moan or make suggestive sounds, even in non-sexual contexts.
Tied to this is the trope of born sexy yesterday. This trope portrays a character that is seen as sexy but has the mentality of a child. Their childlike behaviors are seen as cute and attractive instead of being seen as inappropriate and problematic. This happens in the anime Date A Live, where a female character portrays an innocent 16-year-old spirit that exhibits childlike behavior, but is still dressed in revealing clothing. The sexualization of women in anime has a big influence on society and culture. It reinforces old ideas about how men and women should be and turns women into objects. Seeing this kind of portrayals all the time might make objectifying women seem normal, and that can affect how people think about women, both in the media and in real life. One of the consequences is that sexual harassment can be perceived as not being serious, even though almost 30% of women in Japan experience sexual harassment at work. This was our video. Thank you for watching.